Turning back now to our top story, the conviction and sentencing of Cardinal Angelo Becciu. We are joined now by Matthew Bunson, Editorial Director of EWTN News. Matthew, great to see you. Talk to us about the significance of this conviction.
Yeah, well, the conviction of Cardinal Becciu is, as we were just hearing from Colin Flynn in his report from Rome, a genuinely significant moment. And it is, just aside from the fact that this is a cardinal who has now been sentenced to 5.5 years in prison for corruption, but it's really an important milestone, I think, in the ongoing reform of the Roman Curia of the central government of the Church by Pope Francis. We go all the way back to 2021, just a couple of years ago, I know. He made it very clear that cardinals who were guilty of corruption were going to be subject no longer to special privileges legally, but were actually going to be eligible for prosecution. And this is exactly what we're seeing here. So as I was saying, that this is a moment, I think, where everyone in the Roman Curia is looking around and saying, I have to be careful. Pope Francis reiterated that very point just a couple of days ago to the Office of Auditors in the Vatican, reminding them that everyone who works in the Vatican has to be subject to rules of transparency and held accountable. And I think the trial and conviction now of Cardinal Becciu is a very clear message from him.
Hey, Matthew, I want to turn now to another topic also making headlines. Pope Francis allowing priests to bless same-sex couples. What more can you tell us about this?
Well, we're seeing a lot in the headlines today that somehow there's been a massive change in church teaching. The answer to that is actually no, that's not the case. This decree from the Dicastery of the Doctrine of the Faith is in response to a variety of questions that have been posed about whether or not it's possible to bless same-sex couples or those who are in irregular situations. And what is clear in this document is that there's a sharp distinction being made between liturgical blessings and pastoral blessings. It comes, however, with a very long list of fine print. What I mean by that is that it has to be very clear that there's no change in church teaching regarding marriage, that it is between a man and a woman. Also, that any sort of a blessing, a pastoral blessing of this type, cannot be confused in any way with the sacramental blessing. In addition, it cannot take place in any setting that would be confused, for example, with an actual blessing, liturgical blessing. You cannot, for example, have it in a setting of a civil union. You can't also have anything that would be akin to a wedding where it's taking place. So all of these requirements are in place now. The issue is going to be how it's applied and what Catholics actually are responding to the requests that are likely now to be pouring in to pastors for these types of blessings.
What would you say are the practical ramifications of this declaration? Yeah,
I think there are going to be two significant ones. The first one we're already seeing, and that is I think there's, in the short term, going to be quite a bit of confusion among the faithful. They are reading headlines saying that the Church has changed her teachings on same-sex blessings, on unions, and even on marriage. We know that's not the case. So one of the tasks for Catholic media is to try to articulate precisely what this decree says and what it doesn't. The other is that, as we have seen over the last months, a lot is being placed on the plates and on the shoulders of pastors. Pastors are being called to undergo this process of discernment in these types of blessings, but we're also seeing similar things in handling cases that are emerging out of Amoris Laetitia, for example, of Catholics who are divorced and remarried without an annulment, and whether or not they can present themselves for communion. So these are difficult days for pastors, and I think we need to keep our pastors in prayer because the bulk of this is going to fall on them.
Yeah, Dr. Bunson, thank you.
Good to be with you.
Appreciate your insights as always. God bless you.